everyone, and welcome to today's edition of DRUID Talks. Generative AI is smashing every industry and every role it's aimed at, with shared services firmly in the firing line. But will we see mass redundancies, or will businesses and countries with large offshore working populations learn not only to survive, but to thrive in the age of AI? Today, we have a special guest, Rakesh, the CEO of Proservartner, an international consulting firm who have focused on optimizing processes and technology enablement to create happier, healthier, and more productive workforces. Welcome, Rakesh. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about you and your company?
Yeah, thank you, Kieran, and I'm really happy to be here and with you today. Thank you very much for the invite. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and Proservartner. I'm Rakesh Sangani, qualified as a chartered accountant in a company called Arthur Andersen many years ago, and then worked as a consultant at Deloitte and Accenture before I realized there was a better way of doing things than throwing graduates at problems. So Proservartner was established 15 years ago, and really based on that premise of experience-led, practitioner-based consulting. So we're ultimately the best company that many people have never heard of. And we focus on that area of GBS, shared services and outsourcing. And we help businesses ultimately generate more value, largely through AI and automation in that space. And that can be largely around improving processes and keeping a focus on the outcome, as opposed to spending lots and lots of money on technology. So we're the pragmatists, we're the practitioners, and we're the experienced folk that tells you how it is.
Oh, I do like that. I really like that. And now Proservartner is well known. I think you're being humble there. And after this podcast, even more known still. But I want to pick up, Rakesh, on something you were saying there, because you mentioned AI and automation. I love that combination, by the way. But I see lots of businesses who are focused on generative AI, automation, and digital transformation to make their businesses more digital. But surely the point is not to make their businesses more digital per se, it's to create more business value. Is that right, or am I wrong?
I think wholeheartedly you're right. The problem we have in life is that we're always looking for a shortcut, and business is no different. I speak to many businesses, many chief execs, many COOs, maybe many CFOs, and there's always this feeling that there's a silver bullet out there that's going to solve all of the problems. We all know, 8-9 years ago, that silver bullet was RPA. RPA is going to automate all of our processes, and we won't need to worry about carrying out transactions in the future. That didn't actually turn out to be the reality. And the reality is business value comes from people, ultimately. And it comes from having and people creating good processes that are then enabled by the right technology. And I think if you can get that ecosystem working, then you're able to generate success. The people piece is around mindset change. And that's huge, right? It's very easy to just bring in a new piece of technology and say, listen, everyone, we've got some Gen AI. Let's all celebrate the fact that we're a wonderful business that's able to bring in some new technology. What's hard is changing the mindset of people so that they embrace AI and automation, so that they focused on how things really work and how the technology is really going to add value. That, for me, makes the difference. That's real business value. It comes from the people. It comes from people that are curious, that want to deliver change and understand technology and understand process and how it comes together to enable that change.
Yeah, you will have many CEOs and CFOs weeping there that there is no silver bullet. And you and I, Rakesh, will remember back in the day it was RPA and everything had the initials RPA on it. Now I see more memes than anything else with the word Gen AI in it, old technology being rebranded. So nothing new in the world. I love the fact that you're focusing on people as key. So how do businesses build so that they can survive and thrive in this age of AI?
Yeah, and I'll build on my last comment here. So, interestingly enough, you may have seen this a few weeks ago. The Singapore government released a new scheme that was for everyone over the age of 40, because they recognized that everyone over that age, the skills that they'd learned previously were not so relevant in this new age of AI. And they said, okay, we're going to release a subsidy for everyone over 40 to get retrained in AI so they understand how AI will change their roles, their jobs, their skills that they need for the future. And I think that's the secret sauce here for how businesses thrive in this world of AI. It's not just understanding technology, it's really making sure that the workforce are upskilled so that they can embrace this technology, so that they can understand it, and most importantly, that we can experiment. Because, you know, everyone knows what ChatGPT is now. It's wonderful. Everyone knows what ChatGPT is. But people are not really aware of the hundreds of other AI and Gen AI tools that are out there that are helping you solve real life problems, from taking minutes in meetings to diary management to creating presentations to creating sales pitches. So yeah, there's a various number of different tools out there that people are less aware of, and then there's a bit of laziness, I think, to just jump on ChatGPT as the tool of choice for all problems. So look, I really think it's about upskilling our workforce, creating the skills, training people to change mindsets and to build skills for the future, and that's how you'll succeed in this age of AI.
I love what the Singaporean government were doing. Although I have to say, being the north side of 40, I did feel a twinge of, you're a bit old, so we're giving you training because you must be very digital.
I'm afraid I'm with you there, Kieran. We're both over 40. Sadly,
just
as
slightly,
much as I'd like to pretend I'm 21, I just don't think I can pull it off
mentally
anymore.
I still am. So it's all right. That's what counts. So Rakesh, many are claiming, then, just building on what you're saying, that Gen AI can do amazing things and it'll take over outsourced providers. It'll ruin global shared service centers because they'll all be redundant, and teams in India and the Philippines and any of the big outsourcing or shared services locations will be redundant. Do you think that's the case? Will generative AI make shared services centers redundant or not?
Yeah, I think we hear this type of mantra often. I think I first heard it with blockchain. I then heard it with RPA. I now hear it with Gen AI when it comes to captive shared services and also outsourcing. So I think in reality, none of those technologies will completely eliminate the need for GBS, shared services, or outsourcing, but they certainly do play a part in automate some activities. And they certainly can help an organization automate a lot more than what they could automate 10, 15 years ago. So I think it all plays a part. I think we overestimate maybe the short-term impact of that technology and the scale, because businesses are complex, processes are complex, and I think Gen AI has a lot of great use cases, but many of which are quite narrow. I think in a similar way, lots of automation combined together can probably eliminate the need for moving into these operating models. But it's going to take a while for organizations to get there. So do I think Gen AI by itself eliminates outsourcing? No. I think that's a very definite no. Do I think everyone wants to adopt Gen AI today? Yes. We're running 5 Gen AI pilots at the moment. And what we see in the marketplace is everyone wants to do a pilot, but they're not necessarily democratizing Gen AI across the whole business so that it's used by everyone. And they're not necessarily looking to automate every single process through their organization, leveraging Gen AI. So I think the scale of change is probably not at the same level as the hype and the enthusiasm as around Gen AI at the moment.
I think if it was, then you and I would have turned up today in Apple Vision Pro headsets and done this digitally. Again, it goes back to the people and a digital toolkit as opposed to the magic bullet. Again, you're making CEOs and CFOs cry, but I love the realism, because I think that was part of the downfall, Rakesh, with RPA. It was overhyped. People got disappointed, and it's a fantastic technology.
Yes, and I think the challenge with the hype curve is, let's take RPA. We're now at the opposite end, where I hear a lot of businesses say it's useless and it can't help us at all, and that's also the wrong answer. Yeah, I think in our society, in business today, we need to be a little bit more measured around how technology can definitely play a part in improving the way we perform our day-to-day processes, but also not get too caught up in the hype.
Fingers crossed. Let's see if we can manage that. You mentioned pilots a moment ago on Gen AI. So how do businesses go about creating really great value using that technology?
Yeah, look, I think it's very much around understanding what problem you're trying to solve. I think where businesses go wrong with implementing this new emerging technology is they feel that by implementing the technology, everything will be resolved, and they don't necessarily know what problem they're trying to resolve. So I think what we try and do is add that level of tangible, pragmatic perspective. So obviously we're in DRUID Talks. Conversational AI is one of those areas. I think when you look at AP queries, when you look at customer queries, HR queries, there's a really good use case for using conversational AI. There's a pilot that probably makes sense as long as you've got 3 or 4 people managing queries in a particular functional area. You probably have a good business case to bring in a form of technology in this area. But the interesting thing about this technology is also that in a pilot, you can end up spending $500,000 to $1 million on a very sophisticated AI-based query management technology that answers every single exception and all of those tail of queries that you get. Or you can just focus on the top 80% of volume, which is probably your top 20% of queries. And that gives you a much better ROI. So again, it's that dose of realism. It's maybe not trying to boil the ocean. It's focusing on the return on investment. And I think conversational AI certainly is an area we see that a pilot and an implementation can drive a really good business case.
It's the one where I've seen one. So I know a company's using conversational AI in procurement department, AP, I think in particular, and they have tens of thousands of invoices being queried every day. And now people are able to log in and ask, what's their balance and anything else. So I sometimes wonder if we're limited by our imagination these days, Rakesh, not the actual technology itself. You mentioned conversational AI and DRUID. What made Proservartner choose DRUID AI as a partner?
Yeah, look, I think a few things. I think we recognize that this area, this space of leveraging AI to deal with queries has matured significantly over the last 10 years. With large language models, with the ability to answer like a human, with the range of questions that can be answered, the technology has definitely matured. And I think DRUID worked as a good partner for us because of being functionally quite effective around that technology, but also integrating with some of our other partners in the toolkit. So we work with the likes of UiPath in RPA, Celonis in process mining, with some other tools and technologies across that whole ecosystem. DRUID actually fits well within that to be able to help you not only resolve that problem statement around how do I automate your queries, but also integrate with that ecosystem of other tools and technologies that allow you to deliver end-to-end automation across your process. So and to add to that, they work with us quite flexibly. They're young, hungry, and fit our culture quite well.
Sounds like us at the end there, Rakesh, young and hungry. So
Definitely.
that's an
I'm
answer to
needing
that
a bit of
Singaporean
training in
covered
AI.
earlier on. Rakesh, what's the best piece of advice, just to finish off today, business or technology advice you would give to other companies?
And it's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I think that's really relevant for these technology implementations and emerging technology, because when you're in a business and you do this in a bit of a small team, a fiefdom, you may be able to go quickly. You may be able to prove that piece of technology is successful, Gen AI, conversational AI, whatever it may be. But to actually generate benefit for the organization, you really need to get the buy-in of the broader business. Going together, building that buy-in and support within the right stakeholder community makes a huge difference to the success of a product within a business. I think that still resonates with me. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Oh, that's a lovely proverb and a wonderful way to end. And dare I say, Rakesh, typical of you and Proservartner, in that you're giving really great practical advice with people at the center of what you've described throughout this entire interview. I really enjoyed that. I think Gen AI is a little bit hyped at the moment for lots of really positive reasons. Like yourself, I don't think it's the only tool in the toolkit that's going to allow you to automate end to end. And as you have said several times during this interview, I think that cultural piece, particularly everyone in the company actually working together to make things work, remove those silos and everything else, and then employing, really great technology. And you mentioned numbers in them earlier on as well, including DRUIDs. Putting those things into play with great people means that you can have a great business. Rakesh, thank you so much for joining us on DRUID Talks today. I really enjoyed that. And thanks to Proservartner for being a partner of DRUID.
Thank you very much, Kieran. It was a pleasure.